Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says beef tallow is healthier than seed oils. It's a bold claim, and he's not backing down. In fact, he's made it central to his health messaging, even selling hats that say, "Make frying oil tallow again." But while the message sounds simple and traditional, bringing back old-school fats, the science behind it is anything but clear, and the risks of oversimplifying this debate are real. Let's get straight to the issue. Kennedy wants to incentivize restaurants and food producers to stop using industrial seed oils, like canola, soybean, and sunflower, and return to animal fats like beef tallow. He argues these highly processed seed oils are a key driver of America's chronic disease epidemic, linking them to obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and even mental health decline. And yes, there is plenty of evidence showing that ultra-processed foods, which are loaded with these oils, are deeply harmful to human health. But here's the first warning: blaming it all on the oil itself is misleading. The science does not show that seed oils alone, when used in moderation, are the sole villains in our food system. It's the total context, what we eat, how much of it, how it's prepared, and what we're not eating instead. In Kennedy's interview at a Steak and Shake, he claimed a nutritional breakthrough, praising the chain for switching back to beef tallow. But even that turned out to be misleading. Steak and Shake later clarified, their fries, onion rings, and chicken tenders are still par-fried in vegetable oil before they ever arrive in stores. It's all for show, a PR stunt, not a health revolution. Let's pause on what beef tallow actually is. It's the rendered fat from cows, saturated fat, to be exact. And decades of research have shown that diets high in saturated fats are linked to heart disease, high cholesterol, and increased risk of stroke. That doesn't mean tallow is inherently toxic, but here's the second warning. We've been down this road before. Saturated fat was once considered harmless. Then it was vilified. Then we thought maybe it wasn't so bad after all. But today's best evidence still shows that plant-based oils, particularly ones like olive oil and avocado oil, lead to better health outcomes than animal-based fats like tallow or butter. This is where Kennedy's argument falls apart. He wants to replace seed oils across the board with beef tallow, ignoring the vast body of scientific literature showing that monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, in balance, reduce the risk of chronic disease. Instead of encouraging moderation or pushing for less fried food overall, he's focused on nostalgic, oversimplified solutions. It's not science-based policymaking, it's branding disguised as nutrition. And while seed oils do undergo a highly industrial refinement process, including exposure to hexane and bleaching steps, these methods have been studied extensively, and the trace chemicals involved are minimal and largely considered safe at current exposure levels. Critics like Kennedy and others raise concerns about oxidation, about omega-6 overload, and about inflammation. And yes, the imbalance of omega-6 to omega-3 is a genuine issue in modern diets. But that's a problem of excess, not of existence. In fact, one of the main voices supporting Kennedy's stance, Dr. Kate Shanahan, lists the so-called hateful eight seed oils she believes should be avoided at all costs. But many experts see this list as alarmist. It doesn't account for how these oils are used, or in what amounts, or in what kinds of foods. It assumes everyone is cooking with nothing but corn oil and eating nothing but fried fast food, and ignores the fact that oils are just one piece of a much bigger nutritional puzzle. And here's the bigger danger. By demonizing all seed oils and glorifying beef tallow, Kennedy and others are distracting from the real problems in the American food system. The issue isn't whether your fries were cooked in tallow or sunflower oil. It's that we eat too many fries. It's that 70% of the U.S. food supply is made up of ultra-processed junk, loaded with salt, sugar, refined flour, and fat in forms our bodies weren't designed to handle in bulk. Swapping one kind of fat for another won't fix that. And policies built on nostalgia and misinformation won't solve a public health crisis rooted in decades of industry manipulation, agricultural subsidies, food deserts, and inadequate education. We've seen this pattern before. Trans fats were once sold as heart-healthy. Low-fat diets were once gospel, until we realized they led to even worse outcomes when people replaced fat with sugar. The truth is, nutrition science evolves, and any responsible policymaker should recognize that. But Kennedy's push to glorify tallow feels more like a culture war talking point than a serious, evidence-based public health campaign. And while experts like Dr. Dariush Mozaffarian acknowledge that not all saturated fats are the same, and that some dairy fats may have neutral or even beneficial effects, they still stress one core principle: balance matters. Context matters. And sweeping claims, like the kind Kennedy makes, often do more harm than good. So yes, the science on fat may shift. But until it does, the best we can do is look at the weight of the evidence. And right now, that evidence does not support the idea that switching back to beef tallow is the magic key to ending America's health crisis. This debate shouldn't be about which frying oil is best. It should be about reducing fried food altogether, about cutting the grip of ultra-processed food, about bringing fresh, real food back to the center of the American diet. Because the real danger isn't in the oil. It's in the oversimplified solutions we're being sold.